On the night of December 2nd, 1984, the city of Bhopal in central India was asleep. But as midnight approached, a silent, invisible killer began to creep through its streets. This wasn't a monster from a horror film. It was a cloud of deadly gas, and it would trigger the world's worst industrial disaster. Tonight, we uncover the story of the Bhopal gas tragedy, a story of corporate negligence, human suffering, and a fight for justice that continues to this day. The source of this horror was the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant, a subsidiary of the American giant Union Carbide Corporation. Built on the edge of the city, it sat dangerously close to densely populated slums. The plant produced a popular insecticide, but to do so it used a highly toxic chemical called methyl isocyanate, or mic. Stored in massive tanks, this gas was a ticking time bomb. For years, red flags had been ignored. Cost-cutting measures led to poor maintenance. Pipes were corroding, vital refrigeration systems meant to keep the mic stable were shut down, and multiple safety alarms were malfunctioning or simply turned off. Warnings from both workers and internal reports were dismissed. The company was gambling with lives to save a few dollars. Around 11 p.m. on that fateful night, a small leak was noticed from tank 610. Pressure inside the tank began to skyrocket. What happened next was a catastrophic failure. A routine pipe cleaning operation had allowed water to enter the mic tank, triggering a violent runaway chemical reaction. The safety systems designed for this exact scenario, a flare tower to burn off the gas, a vent scrubber to neutralize it, were all out of action. They were either under repair or simply not designed to handle a leak of this magnitude. Just after midnight, the tank could no longer contain the pressure. A concrete slab on top of it cracked, and over 40 tons of poisonous methyl isocyanate gas burst into the night sky. Heavier than air, the colorless, odorless cloud formed a dense, suffocating blanket that drifted silently with the winter breeze straight towards the sleeping city. The gas was a brutal irritant. People woke up choking, their eyes and throats burning as if on fire. Panic erupted. Families stumbled out of their homes, blinded and disoriented, into a scene of pure chaos. The air was thick with the screams of the dying. People coughed up blood, vomited uncontrollably, and collapsed in the streets. In the darkness, mothers clutched their children, many of whom had already stopped breathing. Thousands fled in a desperate exodus, many trying to reach the train station. There, heroic railway workers packed survivors onto departing trains, saving countless lives by getting them away from the epicenter of the poison. The city's hospitals were instantly overwhelmed. They became scenes of pandemonium, filled with gasping, dying victims. Doctors, completely unprepared for chemical warfare on this scale, could do little. They didn't know what poison they were fighting or how to treat it. They watched helplessly as their patients' eyes swelled shut and their lungs filled with fluid. The gas caused acute pulmonary edema, meaning victims essentially drowned in their own bodily fluids, often within hours. In the first 72 hours alone, official records state that at least 3,800 people died, but this was just the beginning. The death toll continued to climb in the weeks, months, and years that followed. Independent estimates and activist groups argue the true number of immediate and subsequent deaths is far higher, likely between 15,000 and 20,000 people. And for those who survived the night, the nightmare was far from over. Over 500,000 people were left with lifelong injuries. Blindness became common. So did respiratory failure, neurological damage, chronic pain, and infertility. The poison had seeped into their very DNA, creating a second generation of victims. Children born to mothers who were exposed to the gas suffered from birth defects, developmental delays, and higher rates of cancer. A 2023 study confirmed this grim legacy, showing that babies born in 1985 to exposed mothers had worse health and lower educational outcomes throughout their lives. The gas didn't just kill, it cursed generations. In the aftermath, the corporate response was a masterclass in evasion. Warren Anderson, the chairman of Union Carbide, flew to India, where he was briefly arrested, only to be bailed out and quickly flown out of the country. He would never return to face trial. The company denied full responsibility, initially blaming the disaster on sabotage by a disgruntled employee, a theory that was later widely debunked. They suppressed internal documents that showed they were well aware of the plant's dangerous design flaws. which were far below the safety standards of their sister plant in the United States. The legal battle was long and torturous. In 1989, a settlement was reached between Union Carbide and the Indian government for $470 million. When divided among the hundreds of thousands of victims, this amounted to a pittance around $500 per person for a lifetime of suffering and medical bills. Survivors and activists were outraged, calling it blood money. To add insult to injury, Union Carbide's stock price actually rose after the settlement was announced. The message was clear: corporate profit was valued more than human life. Even after the plant was closed in 1985, it remained a festering wound on the city. It was never properly cleaned up. Decades of toxic waste were left to rot, leaching deadly chemicals like mercury and lead into the soil and groundwater. The water in nearby communities became poison. For years, residents drank from contaminated wells, leading to a new wave of illnesses, cancers, and miscarriages. The disaster wasn't just a single event. It became a chronic slow-motion poisoning of an entire community. But from this immense tragedy, incredible resilience was born. Survivors organized. Activists like Rashida B. and Kampa Devi Shukla, who themselves suffered from the gas, became global voices for justice, even winning the prestigious Goldman Environmental Prize in 2004. Groups like the Bhopal gas pedit Mahila Alyug Sangathan held protests, demanding clean water, proper health care, and accountability. Individuals like Satnath Sarangi dedicated their lives to helping, building free clinics like the Sambhavna Trust to provide medical care to those abandoned by the system. Today, 40 years later, the scars of Bhopal remain. Neighborhoods are still contaminated. Compensation has been slow and inadequate. The executives responsible were never brought to justice. Warren Anderson died in 2014, a free man. Dow Chemical, which acquired Union Carbide in 2001, has consistently refused to accept any further liability for the disaster or the ongoing cleanup. The Bhopal tragedy stands as a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked corporate power, regulatory failure, and the devastating human cost of prioritizing profits over people. It sparked important safety reforms around the world, but for the people of Bhopal, the fight is not over. Their struggle for justice, for a clean environment, and for a life free from poison is a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable loss. Their story must never be forgotten. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it so that the world remembers Bhopal. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more important stories like this one.